Hello and welcome to the Flamme Rouge Cycling Podcast, Ep.5. This week we go over the Tour de Polonia, the end, the PostNord Denmark Rundt, and the first two stages of the Tour de Limousin. Well, we better get started. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and click the bell or belly thingy if you're on YouTube. And leave any comments or questions using the link in the description, or if you're on YouTube, in the comments. Anyway, let's crack on. We'll start with the Tour de Polonia. We finished the first two stages last week, so we're going to start from stage 3, which was won by Fernando Gaviria from UAE Team Emirates. Stage 4 was won by Fabio Jakobsen, and I was really impressed with this because after that crash in the Tour de Polonia last year, I thought he was down and out and would never win a stage again. But he's young, and that's what happens, I guess. Stage 5 was won by Nikias Arndt from Team DSM. Stage 6 was won by Remy Cavagna. And Stage 7 was won by Joao Almeida, who also won the GC of that race. So the winner of the Tour de Polonia was Joao Almeida. Next we go to the PostNord Denmark Rundt. Stage 1 we went over last week, which was won by Dylan Groenewegen. Stage 2 was won by Mats Pedersen. Stage 3 was won by Remco Evenepoel. Stage 4 was won by Colin Joyce. Stage 5, which was the individual time trial, was won by Remco Evenepoel. And the GC, so the winner of the PostNord Denmark Rundt, was Remco Evenepoel. The Tour de Limousin, we're going to go over the first two stages, because that's all that's happened at the time of recording. The first stage was won by Chris Laporte, and the second stage was won by Dorian Gordon. And now we shall move on to La Vuelta Ciclista a España, the third Grand Tour of 2021. So the first stage was won by Primož Roglič, which was the individual time trial. With a little spike in the profile because there was a Category 3 climb, and from what I've heard, I have not ridden it, but from what I've heard, it's a nasty little climb. It was won by Primož Roglič, as I said, by 6 seconds over Aaron Buru. In third place, which I thought was quite impressive, was Tratnik from the Slovenian time trial champion from Bahrain Victorious. And talking about Bahrain Victorious, did you see that kit? I think it's really nice because they had to change it obviously because of the red for the La Vuelta. I think the first disappointment, and I think someone that would have loved to come a little higher a few. It's not Adam Yates, because I think he put a solid 20 seconds. He's only 20 seconds down on stage 1. I think that's quite a decent thing. Egan Bernal was nowhere to be seen. I mean, he was far down the list. I'm scrolling down now, and he was over 40 seconds down on Primož Roglič. Yeah, I think that was, as a person who's coming into this from a Giro d'Italia win, not impressive. I mean, we know that he's not great at time trialing, and I think it's a skill that he could improve on. I think that starting a time trial that far down on the first stage, on the first time trial when one of your main rivals, Primož Roglič, has won, I think it's quite a disappointment. But now, stage 2, we're going to go over to stage 2 now, which was the first sprint stage of La Vuelta this year. It was won by Jasper Philipsen. I wish I could say that was a surprise, but he's brilliant. I think what was a surprise, though, is that Fabio Jakobsen from the Koina Quickstep, who was caught up in that really nasty crash last year at the Tour of Poland. If you want to see that, you can look it up. I'm not going to show it on here, but I'm not going to dwell on that because it was very nasty. So he's come back and come second at a stage in La Vuelta, which is very impressive. Third was Michael Matthews, who was just pipped on the line again. I don't think Michael Matthews is having the luckiest season this year. Correct me quickly if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's won a stage or a race of any kind this year. Next is stage 3, which was the first mountain stage of Lovewalter, which was early on stage 3, a summit finish. It was won by Tarame from Intermarché 1-2 Guber. The second rider to come over was 21 seconds behind him, who was Dombrowski from UAE Team Emirates. Kelly Ellisond from Trek Segafredo was 36 seconds down, and he was in third. That was the first time that the red jersey classification really changed to this point, in fact. With Tarame taking the red jersey and Kelly Ellisond, he also taking the polka dot jersey, which was worn by Kelly Ellisond. Primož Roglič, who wasn't able to be in a good position on that last climb, is 30 seconds down, which isn't a big issue on stage 1. There's 2.5 weeks still to go in this race. Enric Mas is up there in the top, which I think is good for him. He obviously won the white jersey last year and wouldn't mind with a Lovewalter win under his belt this year. Stage 4, which was won, and I couldn't believe it when I watched this. I could not believe it. Fabio Jakobsen won the stage after that horror crash. I didn't think he was going to ever be close to winning another stage again. Ahead of Arnaud Demar and Nielsen from EF Education Nippo. Michael Matthews again, 5th on the line, which again is a little disappointing. General classification pretty much unchanged. And finally, we have stage 5, which was won by Jesper Philipsen again. Another stage, so we're 5 stages in, and Alpecin Fenix, which isn't even a World Tour team, has got 2 wins under their belt. Again, Fabio Jakobsen is second. And again, Michael Matthews is quite nowhere to be seen. I do want to touch, and I forgot to say this earlier, but on stage 4, when Fabio Jakobsen won, the red jersey of Tarame was caught up, was crashed in just below 3 kilometers to go, which meant that he did get the same time, which I'm sure will be delighted about. Obviously, after stage 5, Kelly Ellisond took the red jersey ahead of Primož Roglič, who is now 5 seconds behind, and don't comment on my pronunciation, but Kalmenjane was 10 seconds down from Agi Duzet Citroën team. Stage 6 today, at the time of recording this, and I tried to make this podcast as late as possible because I wanted to get as many stages in the first one as I could. Stage 6 is another mountain stage, starting with a downhill pretty much, and I don't really think this should be counted as a mountain stage as they've classified it on the app, but it's pretty much downhill and pretty much flat, and then I think it won't be won by sprinter because it's a summit finish on the top of a 3rd category climb, so I think this is a hilly stage. Sorry, the app's quite small. It's from Requenta to Alto Lamonatia de Culera. I'm looking forward to a good battle up that climb. I think it's going to be very entertaining. And now to some bad news. Unfortunately, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to be able to do another podcast because I'm going on holiday. So we're not going to be. There's going to be no podcast next week or the week after. But the week after that, I'll finish up on the Lovewalter and give you some final thoughts. That's pretty much it for this week's episode of the Flamme Rouge Cycling Podcast. If you have any queries, leave them in the description below, or if you're on YouTube, you can also leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and if you're on YouTube, click the little bell and share this with your fellow cycling enthusiasts. I hope you tune in 3 weeks' time for the next episode and the end of Lovewalter. Cheers!